Inflammation is the way that the body protects itself. It likes to create a barrier so the rest of the body doesn't get affected. If there's a lot of inflammation, then you want to use cold. Heat, it relaxes you. If you're basically not having foods that can easily be properly digested and absorbed, then there can be inflammation.
We all know inflammation when we see it, right? We got a cut, it turns red and swollen, and that's your body's natural healing response. But what happens when that fire doesn't go out? When inflammation becomes chronic, simmering beneath the surface, affecting everything from your joints to your brain? That's exactly what we're tackling today with my brilliant co-host, Anthony Pereira, and this is Here's to Health. I'm your host, Ann Wong. Anthony, welcome back.
Hey, Ann. How you guys doing?
We're good. We're kind of scared of this topic. I'm scared of the word inflammation, basically.
No. Okay. I'm so glad that you said that. And the reason why is because I have absolutely wonderful news for you guys. What's that wonderful news? Do you want to know something? This is where I like to say that I shine. This is what I love to do. As a physiologist and restorative care specialist that focuses on, like restorative care, right? I've always had a love for the body, how it works, how it heals, how it repairs, how it restores. And the more that we know about this wonderful vessel that we have, is the more that we'll not only appreciate it, but we can learn how to deal with it. Now, remember how I talked to you about a few times before, and I keep on saying it over and over again, right? The body, right, to understand the body and the way to communicate with the body is through signs and symptoms. Mm-hmm. So inflammation, right, is just a profound, continuous form of signs and symptoms. But you want to know the best thing about inflammation? Inflammation is letting you know that the body is constantly defending you. Inflammation is the body's way to defend itself. That's how the body defends itself.
It's weird because when I think of inflammation, I think that's our most vulnerable state. It's like, oh, you got hurt. It's swollen right now. Don't move, right? Don't do anything drastic because you feel so fragile at that moment. You feel so vulnerable. But you're saying that, you have to be impressed with your body when that happens because it's actually defending itself.
Exactly. And that's basically the body letting you know, hey, I'm working for you. So whenever you feel inflammation, that's the body saying, hey, I'm doing something that either you did or something that you don't know that's happening is going on, but I got this. So basically what you have to do is pay attention to the signs and symptoms that it's basically trying to show you.
Oh, okay. Signs and symptoms. Does that mean that it's like having a smoke alarm that never stops beeping? Because I hear that it's been linked to not so wonderful things like joint pain and arthritis, heart disease, brain fog, even depression, skin conditions like our most popular right now, which is eczema.
Right. I'm glad that you brought up, smoke alarms. Right? So imagine that smoke alarm is going off. Now that smoke alarm is very important, especially if you're sleeping in the middle of the night. It might be annoying, but guess what? It can save your life. But do you want that smoke alarm going on for an extended period of time? No. And it's just like the body. The body is basically going to alert you that something is going on, but it's up to us to try to shut that off. How do we shut that off? Making sure that everything is good, calling the fire alarm company, then we turn that off. But if that is a prolonged signal, that's where there's problems and that's where there's issues, okay? Let me know when it is that you actually want me to get into the meat of inflammation. Let's get into inflammation.
Yeah.
Ready for that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what is inflammation? Inflammation is the way that the body protects itself most of the times by encapsulating, or it basically has like white blood cells, right, which are basically your inflammation first responders, your phagocytes, that basically go and it tries to, if there's viruses or toxins, it attacks it and dissolves it. So when there's a war going on inside, it likes to create a barrier so the rest of the body doesn't get affected. There's three major types of inflammation. There's of course there's a few more, but let's just focus on the three major ones. Now, let's say for instance, soft tissue or muscular inflammation. We all know that particular type of inflammation. walking very fast, but you hurt your elbow, you hurt your arm, and then all of a sudden it starts to get red. That's the body's way of all of a sudden healing itself. Why? Because it sends that thing called life fluid. Who knows what life fluid is? Let's go, let's go, let's go. Blood, okay? It sends blood to the area, and blood contains, right, not only red blood cells, but white blood cells. And the white blood cells are your workers. So just remember, like the ambulance workers, right? They wear the white, right? They basically, again, there you go, they go and they want to investigate first. So it sends a bunch of blood, so that's why there is swelling. So usually inflammation coincides with swelling or any particular type of suffix, right, with itis. That's inflammation. Okay, so whether or not it's acute or it's chronic, right? So blood goes to the area, and what it does is basically bring those guys for investigative and restorative care work. We don't want it to last there for too long, right? So we help it along. How do we help it? We can help it from an internal perspective and an external perspective, which we'll get into a little bit later. So that's the first one. Then of course there's joint inflammation. Kind of sort of like the first one, but this one is more affecting like your joints as opposed to like, oh, my shoulder. Oh, that could be either activity, right, or sports related, or it can be chronic, like something like an autoimmune disorder, like let's say for instance, rheumatoid arthritis or other forms of chronic or long-going where the body turns on itself for undisclosed reasons. And then of course there is, as we've been talking, a lot of stuff on the inside, gut inflammation. The body or the stomach is basically trying to protect itself from foods that you eat, toxins, poisons, right? But remember, all of these things is the body trying to heal itself, repair itself. So what we see as bad, the body is basically doing good. But how do we help it? And we can help it from an external perspective and an internal perspective.
Sounds a little bit more hopeful now. It started very scary, but it's actually quite the opposite. We just need to help it. So what do we do next?
Okay, so let's talk about, again, soft tissue and injury inflammation. There is a good general rule. There's an acronym called RICE, right? And all you guys in the sports world or you guys that were paying attention in school, yeah, RICE, rest, ice, compression, elevation. So why is that even important or whatever? Remember, so there's excess blood, right? There's swelling, okay? You hurt something, there's swelling to the area. And again, that's not gonna go down until the work is done. So we wanna give it an adequate amount of time or some rest, right? So don't use that particular area for a while until the swelling starts to go down. Ice, why ice? Why ice? Because ice promotes what we call constriction or blood going away from the area. When you go outside and it's cold, what's the first thing you do? Oh, right? And so blood, right, will move away from that. Why? From an external perspective, it is cold. Well, then blood was like, I don't need to be here. I'm gonna go back to the most important areas, which is your thorax. Right? So that's why if you go outside and it's extreme cold, that's why you basically get frostbite on your fingers and your toes and your teeny tiny nose first, okay? So again, ice will basically help. Now you don't want to do it for too long. Good general rule of thumb is 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. Too tolerable, right? And you want to make sure that it's not so cold to the skin that it basically feels hot, right? So you can maybe wrap it up, right? But do an ice compression pad. There's a lot of different ones, and nice flexi pads as well too. If you don't have that, get a bag of peas from the fridge, get a bag of carrots from the freezer, right? Wrap it up in some paper towel or a kitchen towel, put it on, right? If 15 minutes is too long, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. And you want to generally do that when you're about to rest. You don't want to do that right when you're about to work or when you're about to use, because then when you're going to use it, what happens? You flex and you move, and when you flex and you move, what does that create? What does that promote? More blood flow to the area.
So you're confusing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then the C, the compression aspect, like let's say for instance, it's more so like if we're looking at a joint or whatever, we're supporting it by compressing the particular area, right? It's more so from an awareness perspective, right? Hey, there's an injury here, don't use it as much. And then elevation, right? So again, elevation means higher than your heart. And the reason why higher than your heart is because what you want to do is make the blood go down back to your heart, right? Same thing if you have like legs or whatever, if you have well, we all have legs. If you have like a leg injury, you want to lie down and put the leg higher than the heart so that the blood basically goes back to the heart.